lot of property managers, they don't go down to that level of detail and they don't provide that level of service, right? I've heard a lot of property managers don't even assist with the rooming house registration, and that's a very cumbersome process, right? There's a lot of work that goes into managing a rooming house. The gross yield are quite high, the net yield becomes quite significantly negative, even on a 7% gross rental. So, whereas rooming houses changes the game quite significantly. I've heard companies that charge 20% and 30% rates on these, and there are some big names who charge like 25-30% on brand new properties, right? And they make it sound that they're doing the world a favor. Co-living properties can generate almost $140,000 in passive income and net of $40,000 in passive income after mortgage repayments, and they sit in an average yield of about 10%. Welcome to another episode of Help Me Buy Property podcast, and thanks for tuning in for part 2 of our special episode with Sid Sharma from Help Me Rent. If you've joined in the previous episode, you already know that we dove deep into how we can help you find the client and acquire the best performing rooming house opportunities, the prime locations, the solid returns, and all the insiders knowledge to give you a head start and discuss how buying the right property is just the beginning. Now, in today's episode, we are pulling back the curtains on what's happening after the deal is done. We are talking about the operator's license, the property infrastructure requirements, the council regulations, and everything you need to know in order to get your rooming house legally registered and running smoothly. Because success in this space isn't just about what you buy or what you build, it's about how you set it up. So whether you are an investor ready to scale your property portfolio, just curious about what really happens behind the scene, this episode is packed for you with insights. Watch it to the very end. Take care. And let's dive right into this. Me, as an owner of a property investment firm, can safely say that there is no property out there that is positive cash flow. There is no property out 100%. There. Okay. And anyone who tries to sell you that, which is not a co-living property, is definitely lying to you. Like even like duplexes in today's time, they would be not.
They're very good with Excel.
Yeah.
They're not lying to you.
Yes.
They're very good on Excel.
Yeah. So what they do is, they'll chuck in 20% deposit and they'll say, hey, this deposit is your cash actually. So
hide the outgoings as well a lot of times.
Yeah. And so a lot of these properties, and I was having this conversation with one of an institute investor, but he was very persistent that he wants to buy a property in Townsville. Now we've come out of a lot of Townsville at this time and we're recording this podcast. He was very persistent. I want to buy a property in Townsville. These properties sit at 6.5%, 7% yield. And I was like, yes, true. We've hit even 7.5% yield. But think about this, right? Because of the flood zones, etc., all of this, when you talk about insurances on these properties, they're sitting at almost $3,000 in a single rental. So there's not even co-living property, right? And if it's in a core flood zone, it would be sitting at $5,500 in insurance.
And it's only going to go up by 15% a year.
100%. So when you look at the net yields, and that's what I always tend to focus on, that we need to look at net yields.
You have to.
Although the gross yield are quite high, the net yield becomes quite significantly negative, even on a 7% gross rental. So whereas rooming houses changes the game quite significantly, right?
It does. No matter what you're doing in terms of rooming houses, you know that you're not going to be cash flow negative.
Yeah.
Is what I know.
Yeah.
Is what we have understood from the market.
And so they've, done the suburb selection. They've come out and talked to you. You've done the validation for them in relation to proxy listing. What happens then?
Okay, so once they have gone through, now they're going to go into planning and building permits.
So this is more the construction side of things, etc. So they'll have a company who would help them in building.
So they go through.
Where did they bring you in again?
We are basically in straight away.
Okay.
So from the very start of the journey itself, we are introduced, we are in, we have a relationship, and we obviously, since we manage properties in the same regions that we are selling,
give them constant feedback.
So we give them constant feedback. So once the property goes to lockup stage is when my property managers would have, bi-weekly visits to the property to make sure that, the properties are okay. They're going in the same fashion that we want to, because what we want to analyze during that stage is when can we market the property?
Of course. Yeah.
Because what we do is nobody does it in the market. We advertise our properties 4 to 6 weeks before you settle on the property. So the reason why I need the property ready is because so that I can go and do photographs.
Yeah.
I can do a video tour of the property.
Yeah.
We need it, when the property is ready, we can do that. Advertise it is what we need.
Yeah.
So once your advertisement is running 4 to 6 weeks in advance, majority of times what we have seen is I'll take an example of a 9-bedroom, 9-bathroom rooming house. We would see an influx of anywhere between 25 to 40 applications coming through, even before the property has settled. Since we have a back channel with the builders, we get prior access to the property as well.
Yeah.
So we do open homes pretty much 4 weeks prior to you settling the property. For our open homes, we'd already start there'll be one day in a week and there'll be one day on a weekend.
Yeah. So this is, pre-registration, pre-everything, right? You haven't prepayment. Yeah. You haven't even paid to the builder. Yeah. And I think that's a really smart way to go around doing this, right? Because, it makes total sense for you to, and in a way, you're putting builder in check as well, right? You're basically pushing the builder saying, hey, I've turned on the ads, on this, and, there is open homes happening now. So you need to finish this property. So you're almost like putting builder on point too.
Though we have, building inspection companies going in every couple of months to make sure that the building has been built to the highest standard.
Yeah.
Our property managers pretty much do the same job as well. At any stage, if we find out that the specs haven't been met or this was supposed to be here, or in a lot of scenarios, it would happen to be switches.
Yeah.
Right. Our builders are very accommodating. That's the best part about it. They would help us. So these small things, whereas you go to anybody outside, is going to start charging you 100 here, 200 there, 500 there, 600 here.
Yeah.
And it just stacks up.
Yeah, of course.
Whereas with us, I can just go back to the builder and tell him, hey, yes, please.
Do this.
And it's
yeah.
So that's the beauty of it. So there are a lot of savings in this regard.
So you're advertising for rent, and so when does the registration, and do you help with the registration side of it?
We help with everything. So we would market the property at the same time, and then we would start getting into the operator's license and registration of the property itself.
Yeah.
We will go down that route. The biggest thing is we would get everything ready before the property settles.
Yeah.
But we do need the occupancy certificate before we can proceed any further.
Yeah.
So
when you say everything, are you talking about the furnishing, the registration? So talk a bit about that.
I'm gonna get back to that as well. So when we say that, so 6 weeks prior to the property settling, let's say 8 weeks prior to property settling, you will have a meeting with me as a landlord. We will sit down and I'm going to give you a timeline on each and every meeting we are going to have in next few weeks time, and what we are doing. Because now I need to work in correlation with the council, builder, and everything. Because every document that we have to send out is reliant on something from the background. So what we do is we set up timeframes in place with the landlord so that we have a confirmed time. We sit down and we're discussing this, or we're making an action on this.
Yeah.
So operator's license, rooming house registration, and occupancy permit at the same time. We do the council inspection for the landlords as well. We get the rooming house registered. We get the fire and evacuation planning done for them. The best part comes now.
Okay.
There's nobody out there who can furnish your property before you have settled.
Yes.
The builder will never give you the access. The builder will never indemnify your product.
Of course, like it's not in builder's interest to one, give you access even during the construction time. Well, like majority of the builders that I know of, they will not even let the owners walk through the property. So forget the property managers.
Occupational health and safety, we're trained.
100%. And the second thing is, of course, they don't want any furnishing sitting in the house because it becomes their liability. If something is lost and it's a fire hazard, they would not even put their own stuff in there, right? So it's amazing that, you would get access to even furnishing the house before the settlement has happened. Yeah.
That's the main thing, because at the end of the day, when we want to move clients in, because our clients pretty much start moving in from the day of settlement. So as soon as I went to the property this morning and it's settling any time between 7 to 10 days.
Yeah.
So my idea is in next 12 days time, on the 12th day is my move-in day.
Yeah.
So I'll have 2 days of leverage in between just in case if something goes bad.
Yeah.
I could move my tenant in on the 12th. My property manager knows about it now and he has the instructions to go ahead with the applications.
Amazing.
And start telling them that the 12th is the available date.
And talk a bit about the furnishing. How extensive is the furnishing?
Furnishing is very extensive. So we are able to furnish, as I said, we are able to furnish the property 4 weeks in advance before you settle. So your furniture is already there. So on the day of settlement, if you have a few tenants who are finalized, you've got them moving in as soon as you settle.
Don't get yourself taken on a ride by property spookers, so-called property investment advisors, or buyer's agents who are selling house and land packages or off-the-plan properties or apartments. Get yourself a copy of this book called The Millennial's Guide to Property Investing. This book is not just for millennials. The title suggests, but it's actually the most advanced way of investing in property. This book will relate to your clients, your colleagues, and other business owners. There are so many property spookers out there who have come out of the woodwork over the last 3 to 5 years. And there is so much misinformation out there that I had to write a book about all the F-ups that people can actually avoid in order to be super successful in the property investment journey. Some of these are really easy to identify, but they are so costly to fix once these mistakes are made. So it's a short book. It's easy to read. It has a lot of stories. It has a lot of examples, and it is a true guide for people who wants to do it themselves. My name is Moxin Reza. This is my story, and a lot of you will relate to parts of this story if you're not born in the riches and if you're trying to build a property portfolio that can last generations and help you improve your lifestyle along the way. So I give you a chance to come out there and have a read. Be kind, stay safe, keep smiling, keep investing, and please do check out the book. A lot of people think about furnishing as it's just beds and fridges, right? Talk a bit in more detail as to what is involved in the furnishing.
That's, as I said, I take them as apartment units.
Yeah.
Right. I do not consider them as rooming houses. That's what the classification is. But I'm very sure the editor is going to do some magic and put some videos here for you guys to actually understand what a rooming house looks like for us. The room itself is way huger.
Yeah.
It's so huge. You have massive rooms. You have a kitchenette. You have a microwave, you have a kettle, you have your
study table,
everything basically.
Yeah.
Chair, study table, you got private bathrooms for each room.
Yeah. And
so every room has a backyard, a bathroom, and a toilet, which is private. The only common area you have is your laundry and your cooking space or dining space. These are the only common areas. Each and every room has a lock to themselves, which is electronic locks. As a property manager, we have access to each and everything in the house, and we make sure that they're very well maintained. The reason why we have it in this way is because if anything happens during the night time, we can just do it electronic from anywhere in the world. So these houses are built up to a very good standard in terms of technology as well. Coming down to furniture,
so can you see inside the house as well?
No, you can't. Oh, inside the house when I thought you say you're peeping into the house.
You don't want to be that sort of a stalker, but
right to the house if you want to know that. I mean, we have cameras in there for security purposes. We are allowed to have cameras on these premises here. So we have cameras outside to monitor the car parking. We have cameras inside in all the common areas.
Common areas, yeah.
So we cover each and every corner of the common.
Of course, you don't want them, in the bedroom anyway, because you're invading privacy.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be that stalker of a person. So yeah.
And we do have property managers checking the cameras every morning, afternoon, and the evening as well, just to make sure that the house is safe.
Amazing. Yeah.
Not that we have to, it's just a security precaution I have put in place to make sure that we're checking it every start of the shift, during lunchtime once again, and in the evening before you let go of your day. Just quickly have a look through the CCTVs, make sure that everything is in the fine order, and we're good to go.
Amazing.
So this is the security purpose of it. A lot of people would want you to come. I've seen talking to a property manager that, they would have security companies coming in every night for their weekly checkout. We don't need that because we have cameras in place. We have sensor cameras in place. So we know movement sensors in the property as well. So it gets triggered. Coming down to furnishing is not basic. It's basically a house within a house itself. You'll get a very cozy, very comfy bed. And it comes with a mattress protector as well. The reason why we do that is because we want to make sure that, it's a healthy, it's a hygienic environment that the tenants are living in as well.
Yeah.
And, obviously mattress is going to be used into tenancies.
Yeah.
It just has a longevity in the life of the mattress itself.
Amazing.
We have bed, mattress, we have side tables, multiple lamps in the property. We have study area separately for the property. We do have kitchenettes in the property, which come where we give you a microwave, a kettle, a toaster. You have a small refrigerator, which is approximately 83 liters. You also have a common refrigerator and a freezer in the kitchen as well. So that's an extra.
Yeah.
So why we have that is because if somebody wants to stay in one of these properties here, they don't necessarily have to walk out of their room for anything.
Yeah.
They're self-sufficient.
We can stay there.
Unless they have to have hot food and cook something.
Yeah.
Is the only time you want to get out of the
And these days, everything is about microwavable foods as well, right? Everyone basically, especially like working class people who have, who are ambitious enough to work 2 jobs or, building their profile, right?
Absolutely.
They will always be living on some of these frozen food, right? So,
absolutely correct. A lot of people who are staying in our properties are young, vibrant, working class people, professionals. They don't have time.
Yeah.
They don't want to be cooking in the house.
Yes.
Either they're bringing in takeaways.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking from experience. Either they are bringing in takeaways or they have frozen food.
Yeah.
So all of the things that we have within the rooming house are from experience.
Yeah.
From feedback.
Yeah.
We had changed a lot of furniture packs in between as well, just to make sure that we've got the right one now after taking feedback from the tenants that, this is at least necessity.
Yeah.
We've included that as well.
Yeah.
So small things we have learned over the past few months, and we've now got a handle on it. We've now got a very good grasp of the situation. And I mean, it's just so easy to run a rooming house with us because our cleaners have regular access to the property. I don't have to worry about it. Our cleaners go in every 3 weeks, whereas you pay them on a subscription basis.
Amazing.
Right. So you're getting around 18 cleans a year for the price of 12.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's what we have been able to achieve.
And a lot of property managers, they don't go down to that level of detail and they don't provide that level of service, right? I've heard a lot of property managers don't even, assist with the roaming house registration. And that's a very cumbersome process, right?
It is. Yeah. It is a huge, huge, huge deal to deal with.
Yeah.
Dealing with council and anything is just a huge deal.
100%.
And when it comes down to a brand new product in the market, which you're bringing in terms of environment and health, that's what they want to know. That they want to make sure that, they will grill you down to the bottom and make sure that, the property meets the utmost standards out there.
Yeah.
It's got to be maintained in nice and fresh manner. What the cleaning purpose is, or cleaning schedule of the property is, how you're going to maintain it. All of that comes into action.
Talk about some of the tenancy side of things. What sort of tenants do you attract, or how do you ensure that, you're bringing in the quality tenants? What sort of filtering process do you use?
We have, working in the industry for a number of years, as property managers, you have a very keen eye of understanding, when you start talking to people. And I call it a property manager's instinct.
Yeah.
And a lot of times before even seeing an application, if you've met a person, you get an instinct that, it's going to be a good one or not a good one. Not that we rely upon that.
Yeah.
That is something, believe in 90% of time, a property manager is accurate. And I'll give you a very live example about it. One of my property managers came to me with a shining bright application 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I received the application, I saw it, and I was like, I don't have a good feeling about this. Everything was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean,
too good to be true.
Not really general, but perfect.
Perfect, yeah.
Right.
Amazing. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, something doesn't stack up here.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't you do one thing? We do have reference checks and everything in writing, but I want you to call this person personally, the employer and the previous landlord. We have a set of questions that we ask. We were looking for answers and we found the anomaly.
Okay.
When we called the employer, the person was fired 3 months ago.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And I said, I called the tenant to decline myself, and I told him that, hey, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to go through your application, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see if they want to argue or anything, because these kind of people tend to argue with staff, but they didn't, because I think they have been doing that for a long time.
Yeah. They knew what
they do, what the outcome is anyway. So they have accepted it in their brains or their minds and their hearts. So intuition and instinct comes in handy.
Well,
Really
it
handy.
comes down to experience as well.
Exactly.
Right? So, yeah.
So with applications, there are multiple set of things that we look at. The first thing is employment relations, the residential, history, what the person does, how the credit file looks like, the tenancy background checks are, any other outstanding or any issues in the market we could find, because when we do a tenant background check, it comes up with everything on the internet as well.
Sure.
So it basically scans the whole Australian data system to come back to us with, if there's a small thing somewhere, it will find it for us.
Basically triggers things for you.
So that's how well organized it is. We have softwares in place who actually do that for us. We pay massive amount of annual subscription for these softwares here. And the reason why we pay that is because we want to provide the utmost best service in the market, and make sure that the quality of tenant we are putting in is exactly what we're thinking the quality of tenant is as well.
Sure.
Sometimes, as I said, papers could lie.
Yeah.
In this scenario, the papers did lie.
Yeah.
Whereas when we have the basic set of questions answered properly in the timely manner, and what we have within us, standard operating procedures, it's a no-brainer that you're going to be picking up a wrong tenant.
Yeah.
Each and every tenant, once we finalize applications, there's a link which is sent out to the landlord to make a decision upon the applications.
Yeah.
Whichever applications go through. Usually we have, for a normal residential house, you would have 10 applications and 10 of them go to the landlord and he chooses ones. Whereas here we have 25 to 40 applications. You need to understand that.
Yeah.
So the landlord gets a splitch of applications to go through. So we have a session with the landlord to sit down, go through each and every application, answer any questions if they have, and then let them make a decision on, on the property itself and the tenant selection.
There's a lot of work that goes into managing a rooming house, not just from a tenancy perspective, but you're also doing, sort of construction management and the registration side of things. How much do they charge? Like, what is the property management going right?
You laugh on that.
Look, I mean, I've heard companies that charge 20% and 30% rates on these. And there are some big names who charge like 25, 30% on brand new properties, right? And they make it sound that they're doing the world a favor. Yeah, their company is the best thing after, white bread.
Yeah.
They are the one who are basically solving the poverty, problems of the world, right? So, and they do charge that sort of money out there. You can always go out and check some of these big names out there that rhymes with a lot of what we do. So it's interesting. So what does it cost?
Good question.
So instead of, giving a percentage, right? We don't charge, 20, 25%. It's a daylight robbery from our perspective. A normal house rental where where a property manager only goes there every 3 months, charges between 5 to 7%.
Yep.
Okay. How far is it from that?
They aren't very far away from that.
And I think that's where the relevance comes to, right? Correct. Yeah. Because, while you are managing the registration, while you're managing multiple tenancies, the house rules, more frequencies, a lot of hands-on, there could be so many issues with a lot of these things. Naturally, you are still not far away from where the normal residential tenancy sits, because it's still 9 rooms. That's how you're treating them, right? It's like 9 tenancies in place, right? Yep. That's how you're looking at it, right?
It's just that the reason why the fees is a little bit higher is because the amount of work involvement and the amount of tenancies you're managing in one place, your traveling could be more to a property.
Yeah.
That's what the only problem with these properties is. Plus, the management of these properties is very peculiar because the Residential Tenancies Act has a special provision for rooming houses. Normal Residential Tenancy Act doesn't work in rooming houses. We have a totally different set of regulations that we work against.
Yeah.
The notices that we have within the Residential Tenancies Act for a residential property doesn't work in rooming house. I mean, in a residential property, you can't get the tenant out of the property for dangerous behavior.
Yeah.
We could just get them out of the property straight away.
Yeah. Amazing.
Just to give you an example.
Yeah. And a lot of property managers don't know this, right? So one of the questions that I remember a person was asking me was that don't build rooming houses or don't convert them into rooming houses because my property manager says that he can't rent these for me. And of course they can't, because 1, they don't have the experience or the expertise. 2, they don't have the system. They don't know how it works. And so of course there is specialized skill set required.
Yep.
For the roaming house operator and the roaming house management to come in.
It's a totally different brain set for a property manager. We run residential property management business as well as rooming house property management business. And my majority of my experience has been in the resi side of the things anyways, because that's the majority of market anyways. And
definitely
that's the bread and butter of any business, right? rooming house is something that I, as a person, get to experience is because the amount of experience I have in my life in
Definitely.
different countries is I was able to gather that. It's an asset class
Yeah.
now, right? So property has been an asset class for a long time.
And like, I mean, a lot of the roaming house model is not a new concept, right? It's been structured in a way now that, we have done it scalable. There is a lot of debt options available. But I have clients, I have, this particular client in person whose dad had a roaming house in Carlton in Melbourne that they set up almost 40, 50 years ago. And they would potentially have paid maybe $100,000 for their roaming house, and that would have been a lot of money at that time.
And now he's making $100,000 a year out of that.
Yeah, but that property value is what
substantial.
Like, it's just smacked me. Like, it's a $14 million property. It's a small piece of land that is just sitting there that you can build a high rise on, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's the value. That's the real generational wealth that you're talking about, right? They made the right thing, right? Because if you didn't have that foresight, they would have never done that.
But then we do that to ourselves as well, Moss, because a lot of people will get out of this market, that the crunch that we have in the market right now, we are at a trough of the cycle, right? And we're literally, as we see the cycle curve, it's just literally coming out of that curve, right? So we're still very early in the property cycle.
Of course.
The next property cycle to come, and we have a huge leverage to go through.
Yeah.
But the biggest point right now is there'll be 100 out of 100% of people who are looking to get into market and buy an investment property.
Yeah.
90% of people are not going to do it.
Of course.
And they are the ones who lose the train every 5 years, and
Definitely.
they crib about it.
Yes.
And they look at those 10% who did the effort, who went through that crunch time for a year to construct that property.
Yeah.
And now they're reaping the rewards. They have capital gains as well as a healthy income, like a healthy income coming in to the doorstep. And now they could be happy. So these people are going to be 10 years late by the time they see these people rolling out of the beds in a very comfortable manner.
So bringing this all together now,
Yep.
okay, we've talked so much about the tenancy side of things and, what does it take? If I say to you, give me one, piece of advice that you would tell investors out of today, what would that be?
Take action.
Take action.
The reason why I say that, Moss, is because we deal with a lot of people on daily basis, and we deal with investors on daily basis.
Yeah.
And we see that ourselves, that people have the capacity to do it, but people don't have the capacity to make the fine decision for themselves.
Definitely.
That's the reason that they come to you to sit down and actually make a decision for themselves, to understand why you could make that decision, because you're so sound and you've been doing it for a long period of time.
Definitely.
And find a person who has done better than you in life.
Yeah.
And just follow the process.
Yes.
I believe you could do better than the person you're following the process.
100%.
Because you're going to develop a process somewhere on that journey which is going to be different to this person.
Definitely.
And that's when you navigate in your own way.
100%.
And a lot of people look at other people or other people who have actually achieved something in their life.
Definitely. Yeah. It's never too late, right? Basically, that's what it is. You just need to take action and
Absolutely
be persistent about taking care of these things. Thank you for coming on the show today.
My pleasure.
This was amazing for viewers and listeners. If you have your own stories of your tenants or your roaming houses or your property managers, please do share it on the comments below or share it on the group. Thank you for listening to us today. Take care, stay safe, keep smiling, keep investing. This is Sid and Moss checking out. Adios.